It's here! It's finally here. The old world is finally here. It's been years after Games Workshop made their announcement that they were bringing back Warhammer Fantasy setting. I've waited that entire time with bubbling excitement that I've been trying to suppress because I knew it would take so long. But here we are. It's coming. I'm so excited. As such, I thought it would be a good idea for me to just sit down and run through with you why I love the old world setting that is, and the game of Warhammer so very much. So I thought I would. We'll go back 25 years to when I was a young whippersnapper, and I had a friend who lived some distance away. He came to stay with me for the weekend, and he said, "Would you like to play a game called Warhammer?" I'd never heard of it. He said, "Well, I'll show you. Do you have a PC?" "Yes, but my mum is working." Not to worry. The year is 2001. It's a time when your local library had PCs for you to go and use. So we toddled off down there and we waited about 5 minutes for one picture of a Tyranid Carnifex to load. And I was blown away. Absolutely blown away by this. The idea of what Warhammer was, and Warhammer 40,000 obviously, was just, I had no idea what that was, but it was just so cool. I really wanted it. And then time elapses, I go and visit him and stay there for the weekend. He's got his Tyranids, but he also has a Warhammer Fantasy Lizardmen army. And when I saw that, a light bulb went on for me. Seeing the units ranked up with the skirmishers running around and big characters, it was so evocative. I was just absolutely smitten at that point. And I remember just spending the whole time at his just reading the rulebook, reading the backgrounds for the different races, and falling in love with things like the Wood Elves and the Chaos and the Empire, and just being so blown away by it all. And I was so determined then to get some. The only impediment was the cost. It was expensive, and not having a job, there was no way I was going to be able to afford to buy that. So I was sort of beholden onto my parents for Christmases and birthdays. They were not keen because they thought I wouldn't have anyone to play with, and that I'd turn into some sort of social recluse if I was allowed to play Warhammer, which I think is a bit unfair. But that was what they thought, so I didn't get any. But I did persuade them somehow to let me buy White Dwarf magazine. And this just kept the fire going and fueled my imagination even more. Until eventually, one birthday, they relented. And they took me into my local Games Workshop, which back then was in Dundee. And I went in, and I remember basically just going mental and just buying a whole Chaos army. I was so happy. I got this stuff home, and I just spent the afternoon just basically, I didn't even build anything at first. I just opened all of it. I fondled the sprues. I looked at the metals. I just the endless possibilities that were in front of me. I was just so excited for this. I'd waited for so long, and here it was in my hands. I couldn't believe it. So I ended up building this Chaos army, and I was just hooked. I remember it being the Lure of the Gods series that Paul Sawyer did for White Dwarf, where the new Hordes of Chaos Army book came out for 6th edition, and he decided to build a Chaos Army using, I think, £30 a month. Yeah, that would get you a lot now. So he built an army, £30 a month, and just tracked it throughout White Dwarf, and that remains probably my favourite series in White Dwarf, and it just hooked me. And I still reread that. I actually have a plan to go through some of my old White Dwarf magazines on the channel and just show you guys the stuff that I love. So subscribe if you want to see that. Where were we? Beer and ladies. I think there comes a time in every wargamer's life when you discover beer and you discover ladies and you think, the wargame stuff is a bit of an impediment to this. So I can't believe I'm going to admit this. being 17 and an idiot, I threw mine away. It's a regret I have to this day. I'll never get over it. I threw it away. I threw my stuff away. I had so much stuff because I hadn't just had my Chaos Army. I had basically some of everything. I also had a lot of 40k stuff. This must have been hundreds, if not thousands of pounds worth of stuff that I just threw in the bin. And I can't believe I did it. I cannot believe I did it. I was young, rash, and stupid. Which unfortunately means I have a big hole where my Old World collection could have been. But anyway, where does the story get to? Beer and Ladies. I got distracted with Beer and Ladies for a little bit. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to dabble. Went down to Games Workshop, picked up a box of Dark Elves, and I thought, a new hobby, a new old hobby. Started painting them up. I realised very quickly that at that point in my life, I couldn't afford it. So I had to just park it for a little bit. A year later, I felt like I possibly had a bit more disposable income. Went back to Games Workshop, thought, I'll buy some more Dark Elves. They weren't there. It was some game called Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar. Yeah. Nothing against Age of Sigmar. It's just not Warhammer. So it's not my thing. But I then just left the hobby. I had no interest. If they didn't have what I wanted, I wasn't going to play. It came bound to 8th edition 40k. By this point, I've graduated university, I've got a job, I've got a bit of disposable income, and I thought, yeah, why not? I had a friend, he wanted to do it, so we went down and we picked some up, started playing it, had a blast. I got into historicals, loved the wargaming hobby, but there was always that niggle that I wanted Warhammer. I wanted Warhammer Fantasy. That setting, everything about that, I just love it. The kind of grim aesthetic of the low fantasy coupled with almost Monty Python-esque humour. It's just a unique setting. I don't know anything else that kind of gets the same feeling that it has. And it looked like a worm in my brain and I can't get it out. And so no matter what else I find and I enjoy, Warhammer Fantasy keeps pulling me back in. So you can imagine my joy when in, December 2019? Whenever it was, I can't quite remember. But Games Workshop announced they were bringing it back. Whoa! Amazing! And since that day, as I say, I have basically hoovered up any piece of information I can. Followed all the Old World almanacs. I've bored my friends rigid with my chat about the Old World. And here we are. What are my hopes for the Old World now that it's here? I just want a fun game, really. I don't really have any interest whatsoever in tournaments. For me, Warhammer is all about telling a narrative. It's about having a laugh with your friends. I think it's going to be a fun game. From what I've seen so far, it looks good. I think it's going to take a little bit of getting used to, but that's fine. I think already it's been a big success for Games Workshop. It's sold out everywhere on its release weekend. It's done very well. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there because I am just rambling at this point, but I'm so excited. I'd love to hear what your origin stories are, what you are most looking forward to from the Old World. So get something in the comments below, let me know. And like and subscribe because there's loads more content to come. We're going to have Nostalgia Fest where we go back over old White Dwarf articles. And I've got an old army book from 6th edition. I wonder if you can guess which one. I've got a bunch of ideas for doing eBay rescues using the old heavy metal guides to painting, if you remember those back in the day. And I think that this could be a really fun little thing. There's big ambition for this channel. We're not there yet. We're going to get there in about 6 months and then we'll be up and running. But until then, I'm going to bring you fun, nostalgia-filled content that hopefully is going to brighten up those winter nights. So, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Bye, folks.